Hi, and welcome to our podcast, Learning Leading Now, where we talk all things education and Mobile County Public Schools. I'm your host, Renee Phillips, Director of Communication for the school system, joined by our co-host.
I'm Sally Erickson, and I'm the Community Engagement Specialist.
And we have a very special guest today, Sally.
Yes, we're so happy to have Kastala Brown, and she is the Reading Specialist at Griggs Elementary School. Welcome, Kastala.
Thank you.
Hi, we got you out of school for this.
Yes, ma'am.
We're lucky to have you. So we talk about a lot of things. You know, we're parents, or we're with children all day long. I've got a middle school son and a high school son. They're good readers. They love to read most of the time. Sally's a parent. So we have so much going on in our schools right now, and you're at Griggs. Griggs is such a great school. I love visiting Griggs.
I love it. It's the best kept secret, and I wouldn't rather be any other place but Griggs.
Yeah, you could tell when you go there, the faculty works together. You all love each other, and you love your children.
Absolutely, 100%.
It's a great place. And you're right. You just don't realize that it's there.
Right. Yes. People don't know. When I say Griggs Elementary, they're like, where is that? And I'm like, it's the best kept secret. But come on and join us.
So tell us where it is in case we're wondering.
So it's in Tillman's Corner. So right when you get off the interstate, it's right there.
Yeah, right across from the cemetery, which sounds morbid to say. But
yes.
3 Notch Road. Is that 3 Notch Road?
Yes,
right
ma'am.
there? Yep. And your Dreamland Skate Center.
Yes.
As the mom of a middle schooler, we know where that is.
Absolutely. Yes, all the kids do.
Yeah. And so it's been a great month so far. We're ending October, but it's National Principals Month. Y'all have a great one.
Yes, an amazing, phenomenal principal, Stephanie Tashbin. She is such a great supporter and leader, and she has a servant heart. So we are lucky to have her.
And you've had some great ones at Griggs.
Absolutely.
Miss Hitson.
Miss Hitson, Laura Hitson, and Stephanie
Benson.
Benson. Yes, absolutely. They all been amazing.
Yeah. And that sets the tone for a school, I think, too, having those good leaders. And I know, Sally, you've been doing a great job, you and Mike Herndon, of spotlighting our principals on our social media.
We've been having a lot of fun with that.
Yeah, because we have 90 of them.
It's a lot.
And but we want them to know, I mean, I think that is one of the most important jobs that we have in the school system is a principal. And they run little cities. You know, they're responsible for the human resources, the teaching, the learning, the facility.
Yes, so much pressure on their shoulders. But, you know, when you're equipped with the best principals, that school will run smoothly. So it's amazing.
And as a teacher, what does it mean to you to have a good principal, a supportive principal?
That is honestly the best thing, to come to work every day knowing that you're supported, you're loved, and you're cared about, and that pours into the students because it's poured into us. So it's amazing.
And so we want all of our principals to know that we love them and we thank them for doing a great job. Right, Sally? Any words to our principals?
We love you all so much, and we know that you take on a lot of different tasks and you wear many hats. So we're always amazed at what you're able to accomplish every single week.
Yeah. I'll give a shout out the first day of school with at Kate Shepherd, Miss Linscomb. They had several cafeteria workers sick, so she was working in the cafeteria with, and it was so funny. All the principals were like, are you a cafeteria worker now? But it just goes to show you the stuff that they do, all the things that need to get done.
They don't hesitate to dive right in.
No, but it was great. Also, the board meeting, we recognized Kelly Chisholm and Robbins Elementary School for their counseling program. They won the RAMP Award. It's a national award. And they're about our 4th or 5th school to win that award in recent years. So we do have some great counseling programs.
Absolutely.
I'm sure at Griggs too.
Yes, absolutely. We have an amazing counselor, Kate Roberts, at our school. And we have a new program that Mobile County is getting ready to launch out. So I'm excited about that as well.
Cool. Because it goes hand in hand, the teaching and learning and having the counselor there, right?
Yes, absolutely. Social, emotional learning. We want to make sure that our kids' needs are met, and that's how they will learn.
Right. Yeah. And I'm proud of Mobile County Public Schools because now we have at least one counselor in every school, and we didn't always have that.
Right, correct. And that's amazing because our kids, they need the counselor.
Well, I first met Kastala in the summer at one of the reading camps because she organizes those things as part of her job. But it occurs to me that a lot of your job as a reading intervention specialist, a lot of it probably is counseling in the sense of you're trying to instill in these children, yes, you can do this. Yes, you can learn these new skills. If you're struggling with this, I will help you, which I think is such an important part of the whole reading process.
Yes, it's amazing. And that's our job as a literacy specialist, is to coach our kids and to empower them to know that you can do this.
That confidence, does that come into play with reading?
Absolutely. It's one of the biggest factors in reading. As we know that, our brains are not wired to learn to read. It's wired to learn to speak. So teachers are actually rewiring the students' brains to learn to read. And that's our job, is to give them confidence to say, hey, you can do this.
So on top of everything, our teachers are rewiring the brains.
Yes, yes.
But I love that, because it is so important to read.
Yes, yes. Reading is in everything that we do. Even as an adult, you need to be a literate reader, So it's important that we make sure that we instill that foundation in our kids so that they can be great citizens, and eventually they're going to be the doctors, So we want to make sure that our doctors can read.
Yeah, because we say a lot that at first you're learning to read, but then you read to learn.
Absolutely, yes. Our lower elementary, our K2, is mostly learning to read. And then when we hit 3rd grade through up, like the 12th grade, we're reading to learn. So we want to make sure, and that's where it starts, and that's the most important part about the Literacy Act, is that we are instilling the foundation. So Scoreboard Reading Rope, it's like 2 phases to it. So we have our word recognition, and then we have our language comprehension. So the biggest thing is we have to make sure our kids can recognize words. We have to make sure that that component is there. Then we move into our language comprehension. If any of those strands are broken, the kids are not going to be a skilled reader. So, and I think that's the reason why Mobile County is putting so much emphasis on reading in our new reading program, which is Open Court.
So that's why when we go visit classrooms, particularly in the younger grades, is it still called sight words, or what are they doing? They're learning the words.
Mm-hmm. So yes, it's definitely sight words, but what we also have learned through the science of reading, that we want our kids to be automatic when reading. So to build that automaticity, decoding, and also as our brains are wired, if I showed you a picture of a chair and I showed you the word chair, most people think that we will just look at that picture and see the chair, but our brains are really reading the word, and we make more connections with the word than we do the picture.
Huh.
So,
I guess because chair is CHAIR, but a chair can look so many ways, so maybe it's more concrete.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just guessing.
Yeah.
Well, I was visiting John Will in one of the kindergarten classes, and they were doing an exercise just like you're talking about. The teacher had asked the children to draw a picture of something they saw on their way to school and then print the word to go with it. And they were coming up with all kinds of different things. So it was really interesting, because these are very, very young children, and they're just on the very basic part of learning to read, but they were very engaged in that lesson because they got to do artistic stuff along with printing.
Right.
It wasn't just read off the board and print.
Right, so that multisensory aspect of reading, and we're learning that our kids need that. Not just our kids that struggle with dyslexia, but all kids. They need that multisensory part. So that's with our tactile learning, our visual, touching things, bringing in the arts. So it's important that we're doing that.
Makes it more fun too, doesn't it?
Yes, and engaging, yes.
Can you talk a little bit about maybe a couple of cases where you've had a student who just felt like she could not learn this, or was just having some sort of block, and how you overcame that, or some of the different techniques you use?
Absolutely. So we have like several students, that struggle, and they just like, I can't do it. This is hard. And I just tell them, look, we're going to learn to do this. So we have a program called Phonics First that we use for our Tier 2 intervention, and it incorporates a lot of multisensory. So it's drawing in the sand, it's pounding and tapping. So the kids are hearing it, they're seeing it, they're feeling it. And I just remember when that light bulb went off and that kid was like, I can read this. And I'm like, yes, you can. And you can read anything that you want, because we're going to get you there,
It's always fun, particularly when we've gone out and visited the summer camps, because like you're talking about the sand, it's colorful pink sand or blue sand or yellow or whatever, and they get to write in it.
Yes.
So you're saying that just kind of helps with the memory, and they learn?
Absolutely. That is the multisensory part, and it connects to the brain as well. So the kids are there hearing it. So that's one way that they're receiving the information. They see it. That's another way. And then they feel it. So that's a third way. So that's different modalities of the way that they're learning.
Well, and I really enjoyed the tapping lessons that I observed because I'd never seen that before. But so the teacher was having them tap out the syllables on the table, but also on their hands or their arms. And she would just do it over and over again, just straight repetition. And you could tell that it really was a different way to reach them and help them realize that these syllables sound like this and mean this when we put them all together. So that was really interesting.
Yes, and shout out to Mobile County for incorporating all of that. We have so many programs. Haggerty is our phonological awareness program that we use. It's all multisensory, and the kids, they enjoy it. Then we have Open Court. So we know with any new program, there are going to be struggles, right? Also, but we do see the routines and how they are matching up with the science of reading, and it's a more structured literacy, which allows our kids to learn. So we're moving away from that balanced literacy, which showed us that, it's not working because the data shows us that. However, moving to a more structured literacy where it's explicit and systematic, we see that our kids are moving and they are gaining a lot of knowledge through that.
And I love that term because I've heard principals use it and some of our reading specialists, and you've said it a couple times now, this science of reading. So it looks so fun, but there's a science to it, and our teachers, they're trained in it, they know it, and they're working hard behind those scenes. Huh?
Absolutely. I would encourage any teacher that is not trained in the science of reading, which is letters, to sign up for that. It's like the best professional development, and it teaches you how to teach reading. In college, we are taught how to teach reading, but are we really taught? In the science of reading, it teaches us, hey, this is what's going on. If this child is struggling with this is what you should do. It's just a science, and it's like research, and we know, and it's proven to work. So I'm really excited that most teachers at Griggs Elementary are enrolled or have completed letters.
So one thing, Sally, do you remember we were at Learning Leading University? Sally puts that on for the community. And so it's a great program where members of the community can come in and they can learn about our schools. And our first session was about teaching, learning, and assessment. So we talked about reading, and Dr. Kevin Balius was there. And I can't remember the statistic, but he talked about how many people have some sort of dyslexia.
Yeah, it was a larger percentage than I thought.
Yes. Yes, it's a very high percentage. One of the things that we have learned is when the instruction is systematic and explicit, that it not only reaches like our dyslexic students, but it's reaching every kid. And we know that kids with dyslexia, the foundation is phonological awareness. So if a kid is struggling in phonological awareness, that could definitely be a telltale sign that that kid may have dyslexia, which our teachers are now trained.
Right.
To identify that.
And that's a big deal that we're trained to do that now so that we can give them the help that they want.
Absolutely.
Or that they need, actually. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And because, like he said, it's not that they're any different intellectually. It's just the processing of how they see it on the page and how their brain processes it. So once we figure out how to get around that, then they're fully able to read and to learn, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I love to think about dyslexia as a student that has an average IQ. They have a sea of strengths, but then they just have that island of weakness, right? And we have to navigate that weakness and figure out what's going on, and we intervene. And they need the same instruction that kids without dyslexia get. However, they just need it more frequently. They need it more intensively to help them to navigate that.
So if I'm a parent and I think that my child has dyslexia, what should I do?
I would definitely contact your child's teacher. So typically what we will do is we will start in our Tier 2 program, which is Phonics First, which is also an IDA, the International Dyslexia Association approved program. So we will look to see if that child is making any gains. And if we're still a little concerned, then we'll bring them to our PST process. And we will meet as a team to determine, hey, we may need to go to Tier 3. And our Tier 3 is SPIRE, which is also a dyslexia-specific intervention. And then we can see if the kids are making gain, or if the kid is not making gains, then we will screen for dyslexia. So as a teacher, we are not qualified to test for dyslexia. However, we can screen for the characteristics of it.
Okay. And then identifying it and getting the help. You talk about too, the tier 1, the tier 2, the tier 3. Many people may not realize that we do all these different, like they used to call them dips, didn't they? Like you get the instruction once, and then if Sally's struggling or Renee is struggling, then you bring us in and we get extra instruction, right?
Yes, absolutely. So our tier 1 here in Mobile County is open court. It should reach about 80% of our students, right? And then our next tier is tier 2, which is phonics first. And that should cover 15%. And then our next step is tier 3, which is Spire. And so that's kind of for our 5% that are really, really struggling.
So if my child is struggling, the teacher probably knows and has taken these extra steps, right, to get them the instruction that they need.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we identify that. We progress monitor our students. We look for those consistent deficits. We do that minimally at 3 times per year. However, most schools are doing it monthly to make sure that we can identify if a student is struggling.
Well, one thing that struck me so much about reading in the classroom is just the idea that everyone really loves a good story. And I went by Forest Hills Elementary this morning because they were having a special reading day, and they invited members of the community to come in and read to the children. And one of the great things I think about our ViewSonic system, and I don't know how all the classrooms use it, is you can put the page of the book up there on the screen with the words very large for the younger children, so they can make that connection in their head that this is not just a grown-up holding up a book in front of the class. This is a story that I'm excited about. I can see the illustrations and I can see the words, and maybe I'll be more excited about learning to read those words and make that connection myself. And so that to me is a huge breakthrough, I think, with reading to children.
Absolutely. You know, one thing that we do have here is our decodables. So we definitely want those decodables in our kids' hands. But however, if you want to model, you can put that on the ViewSonic, have the kids have the decodable and track print, especially for our kindergarten students who are learning to track their print. So that's a great way to model as well.
That's so cool. It's so cool what we can do.
Yeah,
It is amazing.
yeah.
So one thing that's making the news a lot, I know you've gotten a lot of questions about it, I have as well, is the Alabama Literacy Act. And it's interesting because I think people think it's just now taking into effect. That's not true. We've had it since before COVID.
Yes.
And so I think what's grabbing the headlines now is that they say that if the students don't pass the test, that they will fail the 3rd grade, which is really oversimplifying it, because what it is we've been working for years to improve that reading performance starting in kindergarten. So it's not an overnight thing. It's not like we're going to wake up in 3rd grade and be like, oh, you're not performing well, you repeat. But you said we're constantly assessing the students, determining their strengths and weaknesses and getting them help. And so what does that look like? So that they're going to take the test in the spring, but that's not it.
Right. So when we think about the Literacy Act, we definitely don't want parents to think that this is a retention Literacy Act. It's actually to promote strong readers. However, there is a retention part to that. But like I said, teachers are progress monitoring those kids to make sure that we are locating deficits and that we're intervening. And we should be contacting the parents and letting them know, hey, before they take that ACAP, this child has a deficit, but there are pathways to promotion. So it's not just like you take this one ACAP test and you are retained. There are many different pathways to promotion.
Yeah, we had a training with the Alabama School Public Relations group with the State Department, and that's what they said. The parent wouldn't get a note that says your child is being retained at 3rd grade necessarily. It's that they can opt to do the summer reading camps, which are so fun and so great. Y'all have seen great results with those. And they could also do a portfolio to show that they know how to read and that they've been, because you might be a bad test taker, but
Right.
you still have the skills. And so, and it shouldn't be a surprise, right? Like this is something that we've already identified students. We're working with you.
Absolutely. We are hosting, most of the literacy coaches are hosting Literacy Act presentations to the parents to let them know that this is coming. But we are contacting our parents. We tell them all the time, hey, we want you in our schools so we can show you how to help your child. So it shouldn't be a surprise.
Right.
It definitely shouldn't be a surprise.
So what can I do as a parent to help my child read?
So I will definitely contact the child's teacher. We have access to at-home activities that we can share Come in to our parent meetings. We just recently had one for National Parenting Day. So therefore, anytime that you're invited, please come in. We want you to be there. And if you have any questions or need any resources, you can contact your local reading specialist, your child's teacher, and we're here to help you. Set up a parent-teacher conference, and we can actually show you the strategies that we're using in the classroom.
That's so cool.
Well, can you tell us about some of the other events that you plan throughout the year?
Yes, ma'am. So we have our Math and Literacy Night. So that event is where parents actually come in to look at student work, but also to engage with the students in a math activity or a literacy activity. We typically bring our national mascot, reading mascot, which is Short the Squirrel. And the kids love him. The kids get to meet and greet Short. So that's one activity.
I've seen Short before. He makes the rounds, doesn't he?
He does. He does. He actually had his birthday here in Mobile last year. So that's pretty interesting. Not only that, we do our Read Across America week. So
we love that week.
Yes. So many different themes. Right now it's multicultural theme. However, schools can do whatever they like to do, but that's just to encourage reading. Sometimes we do Dr. Seuss. It's just whatever schools want to do, but it's just to encourage reading. I know at Griggs, we drop everything at the very end of the day and we read to our kids. And that's just to build oral language, because sometimes we forget just to read for fun. So we're trying to bring that back as well. I also organize, along with Ms. Sargent, the Wild Words, which is Words of the Week, to help build vocabulary, because we have noticed that that's an area that we need to improve in. So that's another thing that we do, along with Summer Literacy Camp, which is so fun.
It is funny because I love it when a school says, do you want to come read to my class? I'm going to say yes. If I'm available, I'm going to do it, because no matter how old they get, they like being read to.
They really do.
Even the middle schoolers, like when they read the chapter books out loud.
Yes, I wish you guys could come in and see the fifth graders. And typically fifth graders, they like to stay in their desk, but they're running to the carpet.
Yeah.
They want to sit for carpet time and listen to their teacher read. So it's amazing.
Well, I read last spring to a group of older children. I think they were third graders. And when I started reading, I could tell they were just kind of sleepy and restless. It was right after lunch. And then as the story progressed, all of a sudden they were all very interested in it because they wanted to know what happened. And so they all just got quiet and still. And I thought, I just love reading so much.
Yes.
Well, we all love a story. I get the Audible books and I listen to them in my car. Yes. It's something about a story that takes you away for a little bit.
Absolutely.
It really does.
And one of the best ways to get kids invested is read books in a series. If you read one book, they get so hooked and invested in that book, and then they want to continue the series.
Well, I like to tease my children who are a little bit older. When my daughter was little, the Harry Potter books were just coming out. And the two of us would almost fight over the book when the next one came out because we could not wait to read it. I mean, I would read it at night and after she was asleep, and then she would have it all day long. And, these are huge books. We were so excited. So then when my son learned to read, all the books were out. And so we just teased him and said, you don't have that sort of waiting period. You've just got them right lined up in front of you. You don't know what it's like to be waiting for your next installment, of the story.
Or to have to wait till Thursday to watch your TV show. Now you can just Netflix it all.
Yeah, they don't know what it's like.
They don't know what it's like. My boys love the Percy Jackson series.
Oh, that's a great one.
You're exactly right, because once you read one, then you want to read more. And then that author, Rick Riordan, I believe, he did several different series.
Yeah. So, he's really good.
Yeah, he kind of ropes you in. And there was even, I know Davidson High School did a musical of The Lightning Thief last year.
That's awesome.
So it's just kind of cool how you can keep it going, and as they get older, they still like the same books.
Yes.
I was like Nancy Drew when I was young.
I was a huge Nancy Drew fan.
Yes.
And also the series of Unfortunate Events, Lemony Snicket, and that was great. And sometimes I like my kids' books better than I like my adult books.
Oh, yes. I love to read children's books all the time. I would choose a chapter book over an adult book any day.
Yeah, we've read, my family, we've read some of the Lemony Snicket
they're
out
so
loud.
Cute.
Like, and it's fun when you read a chapter book to your kids, because then you get just as excited that it's time to read it.
You can't wait to put it down.
And
you can't put it down, I mean.
Oh, yeah. But parents should do that, right? Model that behavior of reading. And
Absolutely. There are many different things that you can do, especially if you have a reader that struggles, or a younger reader. There's echo reading, that you can do. So the parent will read the book or read the page first and then have the kid echo the parent. So that's one way that you can help. You can take turns reading. So you read one page, I read the next page. Or you can even do a reader's theater, act out the words on the page. There are many different activities.
That's a great idea. Because so many children love the theatrical aspect of it.
Yes.
So fun. All of it's so fun. And so keep reading. Find books that your kids like.
Yes.
Also, right? Because like I know I've heard the statistic, and it was true. Like in my house, that like particularly boys may like the nonfiction books.
Right.
I don't know if I'm being too stereotypical there, but I only have boys, so but they like to read history books, like or for historical
They
fiction.
do. They really love
Yes, they
history.
do.
or science books.
Yes.
But I do love, like, one of my sons, his teacher challenged him to read so many books of different genres. So is that kind of important as well, to kind of read to see what you like?
Yes, absolutely. To find that interest, and once they find that interest, they will actually stay there and they will love to read and read and read. So one of the things that we're doing at Griggs, we have a monthly reading log. So we are challenging our students to read 15 minutes a night, 15 to 20 minutes a night. And if they return their reading log, they get a special prize. So that's one thing that we are doing at Griggs.
That's
to
a
help
great
promote
incentive.
reading.
Yeah.
Makes a little competition too, right? Like they all want to do it, so they get their
Yes.
They really love
marked off as doing
competition
it,
too.
yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah, the month's not over, and I already have reading logs waiting for me when I get back to school. So,
because you're talking about vocabulary and comprehension, like all that goes together. Like the more you read, the bigger your vocabulary is.
absolutely, yes. Reading is one of the best ways to expose your child to vocabulary, and they need that to be successful.
Well, just off the cuff, I know all the schools are doing fun things for Red Ribbon Week.
Yes.
So can you just tell us some of the fun things y'all have been doing?
So we've been doing dress up days, which is amazing. Our today was head to toe drug free. So we wore our hair in with a crazy hairdo and had on crazy socks. And tomorrow is everyone's favorite, which is pajama day.
Oh, of course.
Right.
I want pajama day.
Yes. So I was like, I'm not missing that one at all. So can't wait to be there tomorrow in my Halloween pajamas.
Oh, that's
Yes.
adorable.
I love the dress up days. And then like when they do, Halloween's coming up, sometimes they'll do instead of a Halloween costume, a dress like your favorite book character or something that makes it kind of.
Or they'll decorate a pumpkin like their favorite book character. I think that's cute too.
That is fun. Was that E.R. Dixon does that? Somebody
think
does that,
so,
and they make a
yeah.
big deal out of it. So
Very cute.
So many fun things in this whole wide world that reading opens you up to.
Yes, absolutely. Book fair. So if your child has a book fair, ask to volunteer and just help the kids. They love to browse all of the books, to see what they like. And I love that. I did organize that as well at our school this past September, and it was just amazing. We got to dress up. Our theme was Princess and the Frog, and we raised so much money. So Miss Tashburn now has to kiss the frog, November 16th.
Oh, you
we
have to
must
invite
have
us.
photos.
Yes. No, we need to come watch that. So an actual real frog.
An actual real frog.
We need video too.
Are you finding one out and about, or does somebody have a frog already?
We're finding one out and about. One of the staff members, she is on the hunt for a frog right now. So
That
Fun.
is hysterical.
I've seen
I hope she'll dress
teachers-
up like a princess to do it.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Because we've seen them go up on the roof. We've seen them get taped to walls. I don't think I've ever seen them kiss a frog.
Yeah, this is a new one. Yeah,
Yes.
this ought to be good.
Yes, and the kids are so ready for it.
They
bet.
are going to absolutely love it.
Yes.
So we're going to come. So send us a calendar invite.
Sure
Because we are
will.
not going. And don't tell Miss Tashman that we know. We're just going to come with the camera.
Right.
Right? Don't you
Yeah.
think? All right. Well, thank you so much for all that you do with our children every day.
Thank you
We
for having
appreciate our
me.
teachers. And surprisingly, we're out of time. So that's all the time we have for Learning Leading Now. We'll catch you next time.